Hi, thank you everybody for joining us on the Conscious Life Expo podcast. Today we have Althea, and she is a light language channeler and galactic contact. She helps many people with activations, clearings, and divine tuning and grounding. And so I would like to introduce to you Althea. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing wonderfully. Currently anchored in the coldness of Europe, but I can't complain. It's been a very interesting, let's say, like past few weeks navigating into the end of the year. I find that there's always almost like a solemnity that comes with the ending of the year and the cycle and starting of the new one.
Yes, interesting. And tell us more about that, because I've noticed that too. And what do you see and notice about the cycles as we go forward?
So generally what I see is that towards the end of the year, there's a very big shedding, like whether it's on a collective level, on an individual level, on a planetary level. There's a lot of shedding, of releasing, of letting go, because I mean, even if people don't necessarily believe in writing down their intentions or setting, their intentions for the new year, everyone on a collective level is doing it. So it's almost like there's a collective grid frequency that people are picking up. So even if you don't want to, you're going to be clearing and releasing regardless. So I think it's just a time to be a little bit more mindful, a little bit more present, a little bit more aware, a little bit more anchored, and then setting the intentions for the future, but not taking things too seriously. If things don't go in the way you had imagined them to go, or you would hope them to go, that's okay. It's probably just a little redirection from the universe. If people are entering your life and then leaving suddenly, that's also okay. They might not be able to come with you, in the new timeline that you want to be anchoring in as you step into 2024.
Right, definitely. We don't realize that when we manifest, we create those shifts in our lives, and so we have to go with them. So that's pretty awesome. And so tell us a little about you and how you got into channeling and activations.
Okay, so how much detail do you want?
In a nutshell, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had psychic vision and intuition since I was a child. I was one of those kids who would get prophetic dreaming, or I would see beings in my room, and I couldn't sleep. So I always kind of had my psychic intuition more developed than what your standard average being would have, let's put it that way. I did started picking up more kind of like as a profession when I started going into Reiki. So it's about maybe like 8 to 9 years ago, I started getting my Reiki attunements, and then slowly from that, everything opened. I had a few kind of like intense lessons and experiences that made my perception shift in a way where I was like, okay, like if this is possible, then that is possible, then that is possible, I've always had a very active and lucid astral space. So I've always done a lot of work in the astral realms as well. So it's a little bit of a lot of things put together. Let's put it that way.
Wonderful. And so let's talk more about the light activations and light language. What is light language, and what are those activations for someone who might not know what that is?
Okay. So light language is basically a vibration, a frequency, an expression of the soul, which can come through in many different ways. So it can be sung, it can be spoken, it can be written, it can come through into movement, it can come through into art, or into what you would define a language itself. However, it's not the language in itself, but it's a vibrational frequency that comes through with the language that works on a subconscious level. So it bypasses the conscious mind. It works directly on the DNA, on the etheric structure, on the energy field. So light language is basically the new technology that's coming through from the galactics, from our higher selves, from ancestral beings as well, to help us with the ascension, with the awakening process. Light language can be infused with kind of like different vibrational frequencies from different galactics, but it cannot really be translated verbatim. So you can't say, this word is this and that word is that. It is an expression of the soul. So on an individual level, it will vary and be different for different people. However, people can communicate and comprehend light language, you can kind of like get a sense, you can get a feeling, you can get an emotion of what it is that's coming through, or what it's doing, or what how it's working on the individual. So let's also remember that light language works on a 5D dimensional density. So it works beyond space and time. The codes are intelligent. They are clever. If I give you an art piece with light language written on it, it's going to work on you today. Maybe today you need assistance with clearing your solar plexus. In a year's time, you need assistance with your throat. It's going to help you with your throat. So it kind of like it's a very, very intelligent and smart technology that is coming through on a planetary level and on an individual level to assist people.
Wonderful. And how do those upgrades and activations, how do they affect the body, especially when you go through and do clearing and to balance those chakras and get the soul's entity to really ground and center? What does that do within that process? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, everyone responds differently. Some people activate and start speaking light language. Some people start shaking. Some people start moving. Some people start coughing, yawning, gagging. That's all like clearing of energy. I mean, the energy has to go somewhere. So when it gets moved and transmuted, you can clear it in that way. Some people start feeling things released from the solar plexus, headaches, dizziness, nausea. Some people feel happiness, laughter. It's really, I mean, yeah, it depends on the individual. But I'll do some light language today, so people can see, you know, how they feel within their own system. It's always important to listen with your heart, not with your mind. And even if you're not feeling anything at that specific moment in time, that's fine. As I said, the codes are intelligent. You might only integrate them maybe later when you go to sleep.
Sure. And then how do you feel when you are doing a transmission for somebody?
It depends. It depends to what level I'm clearing, what I'm clearing, if I'm upgrading, if I'm changing the structure, if I'm assisting them with specific emotions. Sometimes the whole emotion moves through me. So sometimes I'll start crying and just, you know, release and clear grief. Grief is quite a big one because grief is a mixture of a lot of different emotions. So it's generally one that I will feel, you know, and move through physically through my heart center. Again, I'll sometimes move direct energy physically with my hands while I'm working on their system. Sometimes I'll be coughing, gagging, yawning, burping. Sometimes I'll shake a little bit here and there. So it really depends on who's in front of me, what I'm doing, and what's coming through. But all in all, to me, it always feels incredible. I love channeling. It's every time I channel and I work with light language, I expand my own consciousness, I expand my own being, I expand my own system and blueprint, and I learn so much every single time from the codes. So I don't want people to think, oh, like she's doing it only on us. No, there's always a mutual energetic exchange. Like I'm also, you know, clearing, releasing, and letting go at the same time.
Definitely. And how do you feel when you work with the collective as a whole?
So right now I'm anchored in the European grid, and I found it quite dense. I usually live in South Africa because it's more spacious and it's more kind of like dispersive. There's more like space for people. I find it more almost like open. I'm not saying the whole of Europe, but right now I'm in Italy. I find Italy quite dense. I'm actually flying to London in 2 days, so I'm going to see what the grid is like there. Last year I was in Paris. Also, I found it quite dense. So it really depends. Yeah. So it's funny. It's interesting. They're telling me to explain this. A few years ago, about 2 to 3 years ago, I was told by my guides and higher versions of self, they said to me that I needed to actually start building more muscle on a physical level to be able to withstand the intensity of the channel they would send through me when I would be working on a collective level. So because I channel through here, through the heart, and I'm quite like small built, right? They were like, no, you need to start, you know, putting on some shoulders and putting some muscles and whatnot. And so I said, okay. So yeah, I mean, I do tend to see themes on a collective level because I work on a lot of people on a daily basis. So there'll be weeks where everyone is struggling with their sinuses and they're clearing through there. Then there'll be weeks where everyone is dealing with ancestral karmic bonds with their mother, and their mothers are all of a sudden, you know, dealing with things and they're coming to them and whatnot. So it's quite interesting because in all my years of work, there are definitely general themes that tend to occur on a collective level. They are not always, but they can be related to new moon, full moons, and things like that. So for me, it's quite interesting because I'll be like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit weird or emotional. And then all of a sudden, okay, yeah, now it's a full moon, or now it's a portal or something like that. So yeah, it's quite like a vast question, but yeah, I don't know if this kind of explains a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And I know how heavy or dense sometimes it can be working with one person. So I was just curious how that would, what would that bring for you working on the collective level?
Oh, I've
And
got a team like of about 300 beings that I work with. It's not just me. Like I'm
right,
not just me, Altair, human individual working on, no. I've got a very big team that I work with. Same with my clients. They'll come to me. I'll work with my team, their team, you know, so I used to work on an individual level, but as I upgraded and my light body upgraded, my energy field upgraded, my DNA structure upgraded, and I started integrating more parts of my multidimensional self and aspects within my DNA structure, I started anchoring into more parts of self and more beings that are in my peripheral and in my structure that assist me on a collective level, but also on an individual level. It's not just me. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like it's a whole collective effort.
yes, definitely. And that was my next question, are those beings that you speak with, in contact with. So is it more than just a team, or do you find yourself working with new beings as time goes on?
So I've got two versions of myself that I work with consistently. I've got a Palladian version of myself and a Mantis version of myself that I work with consistently. I've got my Ascended Masters that I work with consistently. So I'll work with Mary Magdalene. I'll work with some Hindu deities. So there's a few that are with me a lot. I work with the dragons a lot. I work with Pleiadians, Sirians, Arcturians, Lyrans. I work with a lot of different galactic beings as well. But yes, it depends also on the person that I have in front and on their being and their galactic family. Sometimes I'll work with, you know, the elements. Sometimes I'll have pixies, fairies come through. Like, I mean, you name it, it's real. So they're all real, they all exist. And you can call them. I mean, there's some jobs like for example, if I'm doing a lot of kind of like self-love, self-trust, that type of work with the client, I will call in an energy like Mary Magdalene because it's very nurturing, very loving. So it really depends. It varies.
Right. Okay, great. And before we have you do any light language, let's talk about the panels that you're going to be on at the Conscious Life Expo in February 2024. And so you have a panel on Saturday, February 10th. That's going to be at 9:30 to 11:30. And that is going to be a light activation panel with Alan Steinfeld and other amazing speakers. And the other panel you will be on that day, Saturday, February 10th, is at 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. And that is going to be with Debbie and as well as other amazing speakers. And you do have a workshop that's also going to be Saturday, February 10th at 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And that is going to be reprogram through light language. So what can you tell us about that workshop and what we can expect?
Okay, I'm very, very excited. So I will be speaking about different types of light language, how they work on your system, how you can, to an extent, recognize them, the different ways that light language can be expressed. I'll do a little bit of like galactic history, and I'll speak a little bit about, kind of like the more theoretical history and part of it. I will be doing some actual light language. So I will be doing, energy work. I'll be explaining how light language can be used. I'll be explaining how it works, how it activates, and how, and really how this beautiful technology is so versatile, how anyone can really have access to it and benefit from it. And the wonderful thing is you really don't have to like do anything. You can just, you can just literally sit there and receive. So I've got a few surprises for the people who are going to come. I'm very excited, but it will be around light language. I will explain a little bit. I mean, it's always very interesting for me when I go into speaking, because they'll just send me stuff. So there's some stuff that I'm going to speak about there that I'm still like, they still haven't sent me. That'll probably only come through to them. But I will speak a little bit about timelines, how light language works beyond the concept of space and time and the different dimensional densities and things like that. So it'll be very interesting. And I'll keep it in a way so that if someone doesn't have any idea of what light language is, they'll still be able to understand. And for those who are aware what light language is, I am going to go deeper. There is information that I'm going to speak about that I've channeled specifically for this workshop that I haven't released as of yet. And I will be speaking also about channeling light language itself and how it works, kind of like on a more, how can I say, maybe a structured scientific level.
Yes, definitely. That would be so amazing. And I'm very interested in learning more about the light language and how that reprograms the DNA. So I hope many can join us there. And so will you be open to do any channeling now?
Yeah, sure. I'll pull through some cards and see what comes up. So you can just close your eyes and anchor into the body as you find a comfortable breathing rhythm. With every inhale, you breathe in light. And with every exhale, you release all that doesn't serve you anymore. Te quiero oro ishenayata, tre atreo korasieto kuma ishenayati, na reare ukoro trazie korratria ishenataka, kiera ta crea treo koroko isieta ratria tie sherayataka. Opening systems, opening, calling in divine rays, anchoring, releasing, letting go, attuning systems, te quiero araisietaka, treatietaka, reya reasiet korraishirayata, tranayeta seokora ishietaka, takiet karasiat creat creo sukot karia trea ishienati, nai are rok a rosik a rok a rokai shirayata releasing, opening, 2 more light divine rays, anchoring into systems, anchoring into structures. Rasia takaria isheta kre, tiat kratse ko ra ya ishe ianata korokot karaisia, tre atre okoro isiet a rok umratsiatek a rok ora ishera yatara, tre atiet ko reina ra, tre atietok opening 2 more light divine rays. Letting go of all that doesn't serve you anymore. Clear, releasing self-judgment, releasing, opening, opening 2 more light. Surrendering. Allowing for divine rays to anchoring into heart, expanding, opening. Opening taisha riasiata kria ishieta krasiet karia tria ishieta kra. Mm. Hey, how are you feeling?
Good. I feel amazing.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Calm and peaceful and clear and grounded.
Perfect. Yeah, the codes will carry on working within the system for the next few hours. Sometimes it can take up to 3 weeks to fully integrate everything. So yeah, it's always interesting. Again, as I said, what comes up when I do interviews and lives, because it's usually clearing, throat, solar plexus, and just again preparing to let go. This was specifically actually to prepare to let go, to anchor into the new year. So if you're listening to this before the end of the year, then it's perfect. They'll still work if you listen to them after, but yeah, that is mainly the theme of what came through.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And was that for, I'm guessing, everybody on that level? And so if people are feeling things in their body, how can you explain that to them?
Yeah, so it really, again, as I said, because it works on the DNA structure, it literally reprograms things within you. Sometimes, I mean, it works on the physical, and you're like, okay, so maybe it's working on the physical, it's working on the energy field. I'm feeling weird things on my left side. You might be releasing from your left or your right side, so it really depends. Sometimes it opens up the third eye, so people will start feeling tingling in this area or around the head. Sometimes you feel your ears pop. It might be attuning your ear chakras, or things like that. Sometimes you'll start coughing again to clear, to release. So it really depends, on the individual, but it works in many different. It works on a multidimensional level. So whether you're feeling it in the physical or not, it doesn't affect the fact that it's working. If you feel it in the physical, great. If you're feeling calm and peaceful, great, perfect. If you feel like you need to sleep, also great. If you feel palpitations, also great. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily make it better or worse. It's just different because everyone's, blueprint structure is different.
Correct. And how can you explain that blueprint structure that we're on, either individually or as a collective whole?
What do you mean?
I guess, is there a way that you can explain what that blueprint is for someone on an individual level? I mean, I know that we all have that blueprint as a whole, but for someone that might not understand what that is.
So the way so this is how I see it, having my vision activated. I see it like codes of light, almost like an electronic circuit. That's how I see the blueprint structure. I see it almost like, it's like, if you go see my art on my Instagram page, LIGHTCODES by ALA, you'll see that I literally draw these. That's kind of like how I see it, but it's almost like you can it's almost like if you, so they're sending me this example. If you think of fingerprints, they're individual. Everyone has them, but they're different for everyone. So that would probably be the easiest way to sometimes it's a bit complicated because these concepts are so beyond, our linear concept of what something is supposed to look like. Even the words I find sometimes can be limiting in the English language because, like sometimes I go to these like spaces and places and I see these almost like these beings or these colors that don't even exist where we are, and I'm like, how do I describe a color that is, do you know what I'm saying? So it can be a little bit limiting, I think, sometimes the language within itself. But for those of you who can tune in, can feel the blueprint structure, it's going to look different, what it looks like to me, to what it looks like to you, to what it looks like to someone else, if it makes sense. But that's probably the best way I can describe it.
Right. And so I guess my next question is, one of your discussions for your panel is about star seeds. And so how do you feel that you are here to help the star seeds at this time?
How I'm here to help?
Yes.
What way? You're
Many ways.
yeah. Okay, so I've done this many times. I've been on Earth many times. I've had many, so I'll do cycles. I'll go away for like 1,000 years, then I'll come here for 500, then I'll go away for another 1,000, things like that. I mean, I'm a sovereign being, so how I want to help in the end, I would say, is up to me, you know what I mean? But it comes down to a point. So this is how I understand it and see it. For the starseeds, who feel like they have a mission here to help and to assist, there comes a point within your own evolution of consciousness that you come in a divine twin union with source consciousness. That means, the way I see it, is it's just your heart opens up to a certain degree, okay? And once you break through that point and your heart is open or expanded or integrated or connected to source to that certain degree, then you operate from a space of unconditional love. And then you are divinely guided in whatever aspect or decision or anything you do and anything you make. So if today you wake up and you say, I want to assist on a collective level by doing pottery, you can do that, you know? And tomorrow you say, I want to assist on a collective level by, I don't know, having my own TV show and speaking about love and abundance, you can do that. You can do anything you want to, because we are a perfect, you know, co-creating machine. And this is what we're here for. So for the star seeds who do feel the call, I think it's very important not to limit yourselves. A lot of people come to me, you know, for energy work and sessions, and they're like, oh, but what is my soul mission? What must I do? Which direction must I go? And I'm like, your guides are not going to come and say to you, you need to do this, you need to do that. You're an individual sovereign being. Yes, maybe you've done specific collective work in different lifetimes, like, I don't know, you've been an architect or an artist or whatever, and that's more the direction you want to go down, but you're not going to hear it from anyone. That, you know what I mean? It's something that comes from within you. So for me, what I'm doing now is light language. I actually train light workers. So they come to me, I put them through programs, 6 weeks, 6 months, and then I train them to go out there and do the work in the way that is more attuned to their own vibrational frequency and their own skills and their own experience. So some of them go and do light language, some of them go and do something else, you know, some of them go and help women empowerment, some of them do abundance. It's you know what I mean? So for me, I think a lot of people come to me, and I'm quite good at what I do because I've got quite a broad spectrum that I teach, you know. So if you come to me and you want to learn how to do yoga, breathwork, and pranayama, I can do that as well. You know what I mean? I don't really do that, but I do include it in I'm a qualified yoga teacher, so I do include it within my courses and programs. So I give quite a complete structure to whoever comes to me. And then when they leave, they can go, you know, I'm not just an energy worker. I'm not just a Reiki practitioner. I'm not just a yoga teacher. I'm not just a channeler. You know, I do teach channeling. I've got a channeling masterclass coming up in March. So I do a whole bunch of different things. So I guess this would be the way in which I help, but my craft and the way that I work has changed and developed and is going to keep on changing within the years, because, you know, the frequency of the planet is rising, things are shifting, so we need to shift with it, if it makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so for anybody who's interested in the Starseed panel, that's going to be Saturday, February 10th at 9:30 to 11. And we have the other panel that is ET Origins. That's also Saturday the 10th at 2:30 to 4:30. And we have the workshop that is going to be reprogrammed through light language. That's Saturday, February 10th at 8 o'clock to 9:30 p.m. Wonderful. So if anybody has not been to the expo, don't miss this event. It's going to be amazing and you're going to learn so much. And so before we go, where can we find you? And what is your website? And if you have any social media where anyone can locate you?
Yes, of course. Also, you can leave the links below. It's just my name, altealucrezia.com. That's my website, and then you can book directly through that for sessions and things like that. I'm currently only taking in for online people in March because February I'll be in the States. But you can contact me. I will be taking one-on-ones also when I'm in the States as well. I'll be in LA, and then I'm holding a workshop in New York City at the end of February as well, on the 24/02/2024. So I've still got a few spaces for that, but you can find all that on my website. Then I've got my Instagram, which is LIGHTCODES by ALA. My Facebook page, which is the same handle as my Instagram. And then I've got my TikTok, which is LIGHTCODES by ALA.official. But yeah, I'll just leave you all the links and you can just leave them below. But the best way to contact me is through my website. There's a little box in below in the homepage, and that goes directly through my email, or info@altealucrezia.com. And then if you try and contact me through my Instagram and messages there, I don't generally get to read all of them because there's so many. But if you get emails, I do all my own emails. It's not my assistant or anyone else. So if you email me, I will respond to you personally.
Wonderful. Yes, we will add all of those links for everyone, and all of the links where they can find you at the expo as well. So thank you so much for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you more at the expo in 2024.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.